Initiation into Hermetics, a practice of magic by Franz Barden. Let's get some light on the matter. A sip of tea before we begin. My name is Broderick Wallace, and I have decided to make a series of videos to form a playlist of the reading of this wonderful book. Now, I did do a search a little while back, and all I could find was, those like robotic voice reading programs. Someone had run the book through one of those, and although I appreciate the effort, it's a bit jarring to the ears. So it's time to humanize the process. Right now, I'm in the back of my van/home. I work as a window cleaner and live a nomadic lifestyle. Wherever I'm working, that's where I'm sleeping. I live on the road. So just depending on where I am, that's where I shall be reading from in the Kent countryside, UK. So we begin in the back of the van, just sitting on the edge of the bunk here, and it's a good chance to look at the book before we begin. This edition is from 1976. I love the cover. We've got like a temple here with a plus on the right spire, a minus on the left, and a kind of equilibrating zero on the dome between. So that's very symbolic, and it's a nice, simple design and very retro. It's nice to have a retro copy. I've laminated the book to help preserve it and just maintain some privacy there, but as we can see, it used to belong to someone called Miranda back in 1978, and I did have to rub out some pencil underlining, so I wonder how Miranda got on, and was that her who underlined the passage on the magical power of blood and semen? Who knows? Anyway. So moving to the inside of the dust jacket, we read. Not one of the books published up to date does describe the true sense of the first tarot card so distinctively as I have done in this book. No incarnate adept, however high his rank may be, can give the disciple more for his start than the present book does. Franz Barden. Already the fact that the description of the first tarot card covers a book with a few hundred pages will amaze all the readers who know something about the tarot. Those readers who have been able to gain a good power of judgment on spiritual literature will realize at once that the author talks of his own experience. The serious student of spiritual science should not miss the chance to be guided by a true initiate and to stay free from all obligations. Dieter Rugerberg. There's the boss himself, Mr. Barden. Great pick there. Initiation into Hermetics, a course of instruction of magic theory and practice by Franz Barden. First edition, 1956. And as I read, I won't be making any commentary, anything like that. I'm simply going to read the book, and the language is a bit odd in places because of the translation. I know that new translations are being made. And but anyway, this is the original English language version, so I might stumble in a few places and struggle with the language here and there, or what I'm reading might sound odd, but that's just the way the book is, and it's quaint and quite lovely like that. But apparently there are some deliberate mistakes and probably some non-deliberate mistakes too, but this doesn't occlude the fact that this is a powerful tome that has real capacity. Okay, forward. There is no doubt that everyone who has been searching for the true and authentic cognition in vain looked round for years, if not even for lifetime, to find a reliable method of training. The ardent desire for this noble aim made people again and again collect a mass of books from near and far, supposed to be the best ones, but which were lacking a great deal for real practice. Not one, however, of all the seekers could make any sense from all the stuff collected in the course of time, and the goal aimed at so fervently vanished more and more in nebulous distances. Provided the one or the other did start to work on the progress after instructions so highly praised, his goodwill and diligence never saw any satisfactory results. Apart from that, nobody could reliably answer to his pressing questions whether or not just this way he had selected was the correct one for his individual case. Just at this time, divine providence decided to help all those seekers who have been searching with tough endurance to find means and ways for their spiritual development. Through this book, universal methods are given into the hands of mankind by a highest initiate who was chosen by divine providence for this special task. Without exaggeration can be said that never before these complete magical methods have been accessible for the public. Otti V. Introduction. Have we missed anything? No. Right. Okay, I shall read the introduction to conclude this first video. Anyone who should believe to find in this work nothing else but a collection of recipes with the aid of which he can easily and without any effort attain to honour and glory, riches and power, and aim at the annihilation of his enemies, might be told from the very inception that he will put aside this book, being very disappointed. Numerous sects and religions do not understand the expression of magic, otherwise than black art, witchcraft, or conspiracy with evil powers. It is therefore not astonishing that many people are frightened by a certain horror whenever the word magic is pronounced. Jugglers, conjurers, and charlatans have discredited this term, and considering this circumstance, there is no surprise that magic knowledge has always been looked upon with a slight disregard. Even in the remotest times, the magus has been regarded as one of the highest adepts, and it might be of interest to learn that, as a matter of fact, the word magic is derived from this word. The so-called sorcerers are by no means initiates, but only imitators of the mysteries, who are counting partly on the ignorance and partly on the credulity of the individual or a whole nation in order to reach their selfish aims by lies and fraud. The true magician will always despise such practices. In reality, magic is a sacred science. It is, in the very true sense, the sum of all knowledge, because it teaches how to know and utilize the sovereign rules. There is no difference between magic and mystic or any other conception of the name. Wherever authentic initiation is at stake, one has to proceed on the same basis, according to the same rules, irrespective of the name given by this or that creed. Considering the universal polarity rules of good and evil, active and passive, light and shadow, each science can serve good as well as bad purposes. Let us take the example of a knife, an object which virtually ought to be used for cutting bread only, which, however, can become a dangerous weapon in the hands of a murderer. All depends on the character of the individual. This principle goes just as well for all the spheres of the occult sciences. In my book, I have chosen the term of magician for all of my disciples, it being a symbol of the deepest initiation and the highest wisdom. Many of the readers will know, of course, that the word tarot does not mean a game of cards, serving magical purposes, but a symbolic book of initiation which contains the greatest secrets in a symbolic form. The first tablet of this book introduces the magician, representing him as the master of the elements and offering the key to the first arcanum, the secret of the ineffable name of Tetragrammaton, the Kabbalistic Yod-He-Vah-He. Here we will, therefore, find the gate to the magician's initiation. The reader will easily realize how significant and how manifold the application of this tablet is. Not one of the books published up to date does describe the true sense of the first tarot card so distinctively as I have done in my book. It is, let it be noted, born from the own practice and destined for the practical use of a lot of other people, and all my disciples have found it to be the best and most serviceable system. But I would never dare to say that my book describes or deals with all the magic and mystic problems. If anyone should like to write all about this sublime wisdom, he ought to fill folio volumes. It can, however, be affirmed positively that this work is indeed the gate to the true initiation, the first key to using the universal rules. I am not going to deny the fact of fragments being able to be found in many an author's publications, but not in a single book will the reader find so exact a description of the first tarot card. I have taken pains to be as plain as possible in the course of the lectures to make the sublime truth accessible to everybody, although it has been a hard task sometimes to find such simple words as are necessary for the understanding of all the readers. I must leave it to the judgment of all of you whether or not my efforts have been successful. At certain points I have been forced to repeat myself deliberately to emphasize some important sentences and to spare the reader any going back to a particular page. There have been many complaints of people interested in the occult sciences that they had never got any chance at all to be initiated by a personal master or leader, guru in brackets. Therefore, only people endowed with exceptional faculties, a poor, preferred minority, seem to be able to gain this sublime knowledge. Thus, a great many of serious seekers of the truth had to go through piles of books just to catch one pearl of it now and again. The one, however, who is earnestly interested in the progress and does not pursue this sacred wisdom from sheer curiosity or else is yearning to satisfy his own lust, will find the right leader to initiate him in this book. No incarnate adept, however high his rank may be, can give the disciple more for his start than the present book does. If both the honest trainee and the attentive reader will find in this work all they have been searching for in vain all the years, then the book has fulfilled its purpose completely. The author. And We have an asterisk here leading down to a note at the bottom concerning tetragrammaton. It says here, tetragrammaton literally means the 4-letter word. It was a subterfuge to avoid the sin of uttering the sacred name YHVH, Yahweh or Jehovah, as it later became when the vowels of another word were combined with the consonants of YHVH. So, there we go. In the next video, I shall read part 1, theory. Good stuff.